Setting up. All right. Hello, my name is Ashley Kirkwood. I'm the host of the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast. I also run the speaking coaching company, Speak Your Way to Cash, and the Speak Your Way to Cash Academy. And I'm the founder of a law firm called Mobile General Counsel, which is a firm where we help entrepreneurs grow their brands through protective legal strategy. So that is a bit about me. I went, and I'll tell you this background just because it's relevant to the conversation. I went to the University of Illinois at Brandon-Champaign for undergrad, majored in international business, studied business in Jordan, Brazil, the Dominican Republic, went to law school at Northwestern Law School. I think it's called now Northwestern Pritzker School of Law, but it's the Northwestern that you all may have heard of. And it's one of the top 10 law schools in the world. And while there, I led a class on, it was almost like a women in the law class in Morocco. So I developed the curriculum. Then we all went over to Morocco and I studied my topic, women's rights in Morocco. So that's a bit about my academic background. And I share that because a lot of the people that I work with have advanced degrees in the Speak Your Way to Cash Academy. And one thing that I have found in terms of a mindset block that can keep people from doing the things that are necessary to be successful in entrepreneurship is that when you have had some success in a system really of any kind, a system that typically runs by people following the rules, it can be really difficult if you've graded your life by grades or accolades or accomplishments, external grades, accolades, or accomplishment. It can be really, really, really difficult for you to now go into entrepreneurship and try things out that may or may not work, otherwise known as testing. And I think for a lot of speakers who come to me, they have affirmatively gotten speaking engagements from people reaching out to them. They have affirmatively pitched people to speak, but they may have never pitched at $100,000 or more. They may have never pitched at $50,000 or more, and they may have only received $1,000 per engagement. So when I tell them, you need to pitch higher, you need to, come with a 5 or 6 figure corporate speaking offer every single time, and then you tailor it to the customer afterwards, they're like, no, because I've already tried this and it doesn't work. Like I can't do that. They won't buy that. They won't pay for that. And a lot of people who have advanced degrees, and you all let me know, feel free to come on stage so that you can clap, etc. Let me know. What I found is a lot of people who have those advanced degrees who are trying to land high paying engagements find that they want to know exactly what to do first. So a lot of people join Speak Your Way to Cash Academy and work with me in that program, which is our group coaching program, because they just want someone to validate their idea externally before they pitch it so that they have more safety and security. And that is, I believe, one of the biggest problems. I mean, it's okay to do that, but it's the thing that can hold you back if you don't have someone to validate those ideas on the front end. So if you're not working with a coach, if you are doing it on your own, I would encourage you to just go for it. Don't wait for validation. Be okay with people saying no to you. Be okay with people saying this isn't going to work, because guess what? I have pitched things up to my most expensive proposal I've sent out was, I think, $900,000+. And they did not, no one cursed me out afterwards. No one came to me and said it wasn't going to work. No one yelled, no one screamed, no one balled up the paper and said, who do I think I am? Nothing happened. In fact, they came back and said, okay, can you give us something for $150,000? What would the scope of work look like at that level? So I say that story to say that there are still ways for you to, don't be afraid or ashamed or worried about what people will do when you come in and pitch them at a high level. Now, that said, you know yourself. You know for a fact that if you don't have the support you need, if you're the kind of person that if you don't have the support you need, you're not going to do something. And so what I know that I'm that kind of person as well. So I know if I have not done it in the past 365 days, without me making a change or hiring someone to help me, it probably will not get done. Like, I'm the type of person that's like, okay, I know I need to clean this house every week. In my mind, because I'm married to Chris Kirkwood, my husband, who now works with us, and then we have a 9-month-old daughter. So in my mind, it was like, yeah, when I have a kid, I'm going to meal prep. I'm going to do all of these things. It's going to be amazing. It was like a utopia. It was like, I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. I'm going to cook for the whole family, all this stuff. And it's like, we're 9 months in, that's not happening. So I knew I needed to get meal prep for ourselves and for our daughter. I knew that I needed to hire a cleaner. Like, it's just not going to happen. And the same is true in the business world. There are some things, that if you don't make a change, hire someone to help you do what you need to do in order to go to the next level, it may not happen. So that said, you have to figure out, why exactly have you not been doing what you want to do in business? Why haven't you been pitching at the level you want to pitch at in business, landing the engagements you want to land in business? Since I predominantly work with speakers, and if the reason is I just don't know what exactly to do, then that's an easy solution. You can hire someone to help you who's done it, to tell you exactly what they did and how their clients have been successful. And that's what we do in the Speak Your Way to Cash Academy. That said, you just want to be really careful that you don't, because here's the truth about mindset. Since we're talking about mindset hacks, I know for a fact that if you believe me, if you believe what I say, you believe what I'm telling you, you like the way that I teach. And at this point, for me, I have so much. You could literally Google Speak Your Way to Cash on Google and all of my stuff will come up. You could probably spend the next probably 2 to 3 months just consuming the content that we have out online. And you would learn a ton of information just from doing that. So for me, since I'm not new to this, you could do all of that and you'd know that I'm the real deal. It's not really a risk. Now, for someone who's new, maybe you Google them, they don't have anything. They don't have any case studies. They don't have anything on the internet, no digital footprint. But for me, that's not the case. So you could do all that and then you'd find out it's the real deal. But then if you believe me, I know for a fact you'll buy from me. Like, you'll buy it. You'll be like, yeah, she's the real deal. I'm going to buy her program. I'm going to spend whatever it costs. I'm going to work with her. But if you don't believe you won't do the work. So even if you believe me or in what we teach, and you do business with me, you hire me as your coach, that is like part one. But part two is, if you don't believe in yourself, you won't do the work. So I don't want people just to believe in me and in our systems and in all those other things. You have to really believe in you. And that's why I'm talking about the mindset this morning. And we're going to get into some specific hacks that I've used to help me get out of funks, because everyone has them. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, like, this pandemic has been the most, it's been the most persistent test of my resilience for so many reasons. For the reason that I had a baby in a pandemic and I didn't know whether I'd have to have a baby alone. It's my first child and my only child, frankly. Like, we plan to be one and done. So, you have all these things in your mind planned. Me and my husband have been married 9 years in March. And so we have really waited until we were at a place in our lives where we could celebrate to the fullest this new addition. And so we had like, our baby shower was hundreds of people, right? It was, my parents went out of country, all this stuff. So we were planning big, and then the pandemic happened. So immediately, no shower. We didn't know if my husband would even be able to be in the room with me. All of those prenatal classes we took went virtual. Then we had family that started to get sick and hospitalized. Then we started hearing about, unfortunately, the passing away of certain people that we knew. And so it has been a huge mental test. Oh, and when the pandemic first hit, immediately within like 24 hours of things being shut down, we lost $30 or $35,000 in corporate contracts within like 24 hours. Like, it was very, 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 very swift. And no one knew what was going to happen next. And I remember right after the pandemic hit, having this moment where I was like, okay, I am either going to stop doing everything, or I'm just going to keep going regardless. Like, I'm going to just keep creating content, keep serving my community, keep going, just period. I was just going to keep going. And so I decided to keep going. I decided to weather the storm. I decided not to shut down, not to do anything drastic, just keep serving, keep promoting my products and my services, keep putting information out there to my community and to my audience, learn as much as I could about what was going on. But there was a moment where I was like, okay, is the world ending? Like, no lie, most dramatic thought I've had since this pandemic hit. So when people tell me it's been tough for them, I 100% know it. I just spoke to a group of students. I think it was about 300 students that I recently spoke to. And I asked them, how have they been coping on a scale of 1 to 10? And there were so many zeros, just people feeling depleted. And so when you are a speaker or an entrepreneur or someone who even during this time believes so much in the mission that you have and in the vision that you have for your company, when you believe so much about what you're doing that you would persevere through a pandemic, then it is worth you doing whatever you can to get that message to as many people as possible. Because it's not easy and not everyone is able to do that. And so if you are, then you need to get your voice out there. And the reason, and this is something that I tell my speakers all the time, the transaction is literally the shortest piece of the conversation. Your goal is to be a solution speaker and to serve your client and to serve their audience. So, I had a call with the client yesterday and I was showing them the data about my speech and how it went and what their audience wants to hear next. And it was a really easy conversation, and the solution that they need is going to be $65,000, if not more, depending on what they come back with. And they were like, okay, great. I'll just take this data and take this information to the board and we'll go forward with next steps. And we'll have a call in a couple of weeks about next steps. It wasn't a very laborious conversation because the bulk of the conversation is about how do I help you to transform your people so that your people can do what they are supposed to do within the ecosystem of your company. And I think sometimes we forget that even though we're serving, even though we're getting our messages out there, those messages cost us something. And so there has to be a transaction attached to it when we are giving it to a client for a for-profit business. That's the difference. So if you all have any questions at all about this or about any piece of how we are running our company at Speak Your Way to Cash, how we're helping speakers, please let me know or drop it in the comments if you're listening online. Please do let me know because I'd be happy to answer your questions. But so the first mindset hack is knowing that my message really does change the world. And I think that it seems like a utopia or like something that is something that's fictitious or dramatic, etc. But it really does, because I know for a fact I can trace back my professional speaking career to hearing a professional speaker come into my high school when I was in high school. I don't remember if I was a freshman or a sophomore. And he spoke and he had all these other speakers that were speaking. And one of the things he said is like, I'm a professional speaker. I do this for a living. I get to change lives for a living. I had no clue that was a job. Like in school, they don't talk about professional speaking as being a job. They talked about doctors, lawyers, accountants, sanitation workers. They talked about there's like jobs that you do 9 to 5. They didn't talk about how vast the entrepreneurial space could be and all the things that you could do. And I remember that speech vividly today. It was one speech, one time. I never heard him speak again. I actually reached out to him when I started my professional speaking business and told him that he was the reason. His name is Errol Moody. I remember hearing him speak when I was in high school. And it's crazy because honestly, it looks so young. You would not believe that I heard him in high school and that he's still doing it. So like to this day, he still looks super young. So great genes. But one of the things that I recall is hearing that speech. And so there are moments that one speech, one time literally has the capacity to change someone's life. And if you know that you're the type of speaker who can give those types of speeches or has a message or a framework or a strategy that really will help people and change lives, then you selling it to people is you helping people and changing lives. So I don't see the first mindset I guess would be, I don't see anything as it relates to me promoting or selling my business or my services or my coaching as slimy. A part of that is I save testimonials. So every time I speak for people in my programs, when people are posting positive things or that they have learned from our academy and for other things, I save them. And when I'm feeling down or I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, why do I do this? Or this is so hard. Any of those thoughts, I then go and pull that out. And I'm like, all right, this is why I do this. These are the tangible lives that I've changed. I have helped 1,000 speakers make more money last year. Like that's huge. We have 50,000 people at any given time listening to the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast, real people. And I think sometimes people think, oh, it's only like they get caught up in the numbers of, oh, it's only 5 people joining me live, or it's only 3 people joining me live. Those are real people. If you change one person's life per day, that's still a big deal. Or one per week, that is someone's life. So not even getting caught up in the numbers, but in the transformation that you provide. So that's probably the first mindset hack. The second is, if anyone can do it, I can do it, because I have something in common with everyone. So this is something that I developed, particularly as a Black woman in America. I thought it was helpful to have this. There are times when, one, because I want to be really clear, discrimination, racism, all those things exist. And it makes your life harder if you fall within a category that is not historically celebrated in this country. Disclaimer. Let's put that out there first. Secondly, that being said, right? That being said, I will not give up my spotted success to racism. Personally, I will. I've just decided not to. That said, what I find is that the reason racism is so prevalent and why, because trust me, I've worked with people that are racist and discriminatory. Like, just trust me on that. I've constantly been like one of the only, if not the only, Black women in spaces, working at elite firms and going to, high ranking schools and all of that. Like, you're just, those spaces aren't diverse. So I've been the only, I've dealt with all of that. Here's how I don't let it get me down. If anyone can succeed at anything, and this is true for this year, so this was not always the case. I feel that I am blessed to have been born at a time when my people that look like me have had more opportunities than any other period in history. Although those opportunities still are not equal, it's still better than what my ancestors have prevailed and overcome. And in fact, as a lawyer, I'm particularly blessed because, let's see, I don't want to get this wrong, because I believe the first Black woman lawyer was in the 1870s. Yeah, Charlotte E. Ray. So now, if anyone knows of one before Charlotte E. Ray, please let me know, because I'd like to know that. I have a book about, the Black women lawyers that came before me and the history that they've overcome. So all that said, right, Charlotte, 1870s, shoulders that I stand upon, she has made it easier for me now to go through law school and become a lawyer. And although I face discrimination and all those other things, I have decided that I'm not going to allow those things to keep me from whatever I want. So the reason racism is so persistent, this is my opinion on this, is that people feel if you are different than them, if they can otherize you, it's easier for them to discriminate against you. So what I do, so that I can build commonality, because unfortunately in the spaces that I've been in, you aren't going to excel without having some consensus from other people that may or may not look like you. This is in corporate. Now, as an entrepreneur, it's a lot different. But when I was in a corporate law firm, I wasn't getting promoted just because the Black partner thought I was going to get promoted. And in fact, they weren't even the ones who had the business to keep me busy 100% of the time, if we're being real, because of whatever reason, right? So if anyone, one, I can find commonality with anyone, any human being. So I don't divorce myself from success. So what I see and what I have heard is that people will be like, oh, but Mark Zuckerberg had this and he's so successful because of this, all these external factors, instead of looking at what he has that they have that they can leverage and use to get to the next level in their own life. So for me, I have decided to look at what the commonality is between myself and other people, so that I can build commonality, so that I can grow my business, so that I can have conversations with who I need to have them by. But I don't allow anyone's color to intimidate me either. The fact of the matter is, I don't care if you're white, Black, brown, or other. Like, it doesn't. You're not going to intimidate me or keep me from getting to where I need to go. Also, I decided, and I don't recommend everyone do this, because I was an employment lawyer and I know that retaliation is real. But I decided when I started my legal career, if someone came to me and did something disrespectful, and I thought that it was because of the color of my skin, I was going to ask them why they did it. because I just determined you're not going to come and dump that on me and then leave. And now I got to deal with it. No, 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 no. We are going to put this right back on you, buddy. So that's literally just how I dealt with it. But the mindset hack is, if anyone can, one, the mindset hack is, I do not divorce myself from success. So if someone has something that I desire to have, whether it be a certain income level in their business, a certain client, whatever it is, like a certain family structure, a certain level of peace, a certain level of love, my initial response is not, oh, well, she has this and I don't have it, or, oh, well, he has that and I don't have it. Oh, well, he's this and I'm not that. Like, that is not my initial response. My initial response is, okay, we're both human, commonality. We both bleed red, commonality. We both grew up in certain town, commonality. I'm looking at all the commonalities. And then I use one of those commonalities to reach out to that person and say, hey, I noticed X, Y, and Z. We both do X, Y, and Z. I would love to get 15 minutes of your time to learn about ABC. Now, if they have a path for me to connect with them, meaning I can buy a product from them, I can buy a service from them, they can be on my podcast, any path for us to connect other than me just asking for time, like there's a way for me to really build consensus. Like if I have to buy a coaching hour with them or whatever, I'm doing that. I don't need a handout from anyone. So I'm doing that. Now, the reason I take this approach, and the reason I consciously developed this approach, is because I noticed that when I, even like, because I'm not a white male, right? But I have a privilege in that both of my parents, everyone, most people in America have something that someone else will, consider to be a privilege. So for me, I grew up with both my parents in the home. I did not grow up poor. My parents both had struggles in their lives previously that they overcame so we wouldn't have to. My dad was adopted, but he worked extraordinarily hard to build a multi-seven-figure business in the 90s, put all his sisters through school. They all have, I think, undergraduate degrees and advanced degrees. My aunt's a lawyer. My mom is college educated, but she grew up in a single-parent household. So she overcame whatever she needed to overcome to provide us the life that we had. So I didn't have to go through the same struggles as my parents, but we're only a generation removed from a lot of these things. That said, when I talk about what we've been able to accomplish in our business, there are a lot of people who initially will see, oh, but she went to Northwestern. Oh, but she has, family that supports her. Oh, but she has a husband. And so instead of them finding all the commonalities between us so that they can hype themselves up to do the same thing, if not more, they immediately divorce themselves from success. And it's a mindset that will not serve you, even if it has some truth to it. So what you focus on grows. So there are going to be times when people do things to you that are totally unfair. I just had someone like that I thought was taking advantage of me in my business. I had to fire her, but I thought, it was unfair. It was wrong. There were all these thoughts that immediately rushed to my mind, like, oh my gosh, is she doing this because I'm Black? Is she trying to take advantage of me? And then I had to realize, okay, well, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? Are you going to approach her about it? Are you going to, and not only what are you going to do, which path of options will serve your future the best? Because that's what you need to do. And you need to take that path, regardless of regardless of it in the short term, it harms your ego. Because let me tell y'all, in the short term, when people do me wrong, especially in business, I would love to just go off. If we're being real, y'all know my background is as a trial lawyer. I go to court, I fight with words for a living. I get paid well for it. That's what I do. So for me, it's like my initial response is to take the aggressive approach, is to go in, and so I have to make conscious decisions to not do that sometimes, because all it will do is impair the mission that I am going for. So it won't serve my future, even though I want to do it and I'm in the right for doing it. And yes, LaShante, yes, even though I'm in the right for doing it, like there are times in your life, and I know you all feel this, especially if you're a business owner, where you have every right to just go clean in on somebody. I mean, just all the way. And nobody would judge you for it, but it won't serve your future. It just won't. And it won't. So you have to take the high road. Now, what is the ROI on self-doubt, on complaining, on talking about how other people have more than you and how that is going to cement your destiny? What is the ROI that you get from that? You may feel good in the moment, but guess what? And here's some hard truth that most people are afraid to tell you. What you may be doing is setting yourself up for all the reasons why you won't succeed so that you aren't accountable for doing the work you know it requires to do so. You're setting yourself up, telling yourself and others all the reasons why you can't succeed so that you don't have to be accountable for doing the work required to succeed. And if that is the case, you are not going to be able to reach your fullest potential. That's just the truth. And it's, I get it. Everyone has excuses as to why they don't want to be great. And some people have this is not going to apply for everyone because some people have, real stuff that's like, just horrible. But for a lot of people that I work with, these are facades. These excuses we put up for why we can't reach a certain level, why we can't do a certain thing, they're facade, and they're typically based in a lack of confidence, which is something that you can grow over time. It's not something that you're born with. The other mindset hack is just not having a growth mindset. So I've decided to have a growth mindset as it relates to every area of my life. There are some areas that I still struggle with more than others. However, because there are areas that I know I do well, I try to focus on those areas and hire people to help me with the areas that, I'm just not great in yet. So those are some things that I've done. And I just want to give you guys those tips. So if you are a speaker or an entrepreneur looking to book paid speaking engagements, you want to learn how do you pitch and sell and set up a speaking business where you can consistently pitch 5 to 6 figure corporate speaking engagements, who to pitch to, how to pitch, the mindset and the lifestyle that you need in order to do that, then please do apply for Speaker Ready Cash Academy. You can click my picture, go all the way to the bottom, click my Instagram profile, click the link in my bio on Instagram and apply, or just go to ashleynicolekirkwood.com/apply. If you click the Instagram link, just scroll down until you see that first gold, really the second gold button. It says apply to my private training for speakers. We're going to be doing that training live on Thursday. So we're going to accept the people that are going to be accepted probably Wednesday or so. So get your application in ASAP. It's a phenomenal program. You could see some of the people in the program. I posted them on Instagram yesterday. It's a phenomenal program. We've already gotten some great feedback about it. People have already started to make money in their speaking businesses. The truth is, though, this is for people who are interested in growing a profitable speaking business that can last. Because I don't know about you all, but I didn't want to speak 100 times a year on 100 stages for $2,000. It just wasn't how I wanted to live. And in the very beginning of my business, I was in survival mode. It was like, what do I need to do to survive? So I would take, smaller engagements. I took clients that probably were not the best fit because, they just weren't. I did all that stuff. And then I realized, okay, I shouldn't be doing that. That's not the way I want to serve. Those aren't the people that I could be the most helpful to based on my particular skill set, my particular set of skills. So I pivoted and I got really clear about who I wanted to help and started talking to them in my marketing and in my advertising, etc. So if you're someone who we should be speaking with for the Speaker Ready Cash Academy, please do apply. It's a short application. Probably will take you less than 5 minutes, if not shorter than that. And we'd be happy to see if it's a good fit to work with us. But I'm going to go live again tomorrow. I don't know the time. I'll try to schedule it out so that everyone has time in advance to get here. But I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much for joining us.